All right, video number 2 for corrections. This is the rule of 90 video, where I do a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown of how focus is used. It has been a long time since I've listened to this video, and so I'm just going to go ahead and go through that, have some corrections, any additional tips and guides that may come along with it. So I'm going to get this thing started up here, and I'm just going to be playing some Cellar in the background for the fun of it and just pausing this video as I kind of go through. The second category is offensive. Now, typically each hero, you will want to focus one of your offensive stats. You don't want to increase all 4 of them. In fact, it's like next to impossible to increase all 4 of them. And that is intelligence, awareness, strength, and talent. When we talk about increasing one of those 4, there becomes a cutoff point in your offensive stat to get that to 90. If you're using like a scholar, so intelligence, to where you're going to be landing what I would say is big abilities, you actually do want to max it out as much as you can, even to 95, because a lot of the things like volcanic tome and all that give you a negative accuracy adjustment to it. So you actually want to be at the 95 max if you can on some of those. But in general, this is correct. So the power in your base stat at being at 90 is very important. When are you willing to drop below that 90 threshold, or just lowering your armor and resistance in order to get something else in the game that you feel is valuable? What is valuable? This is actually all true. Sacrifice those numbers. So applying the rule of 90 to offense, to armor stats. This is why you actually don't really. You actually don't even really worry about stats too much with strength heroes, because a lot of times what you're doing is trying to do overpower hits, and that's why you use things like golden roots and rush and stuff like that. Because what you're wanting to do is actually get more attack damage and really worry about even some of the stats as well too. So it just depends on what you're sacrificing. Tier listing these additional stats, and what stats would you be willing to sacrifice in order to get either vitality, speed, luck, or evasion. And we're going to go with the ones that are not worth it. First thing is luck. Luck is by far the worst stat in the game. It does have some impact with certain skills and you having a better app. Hey devs, make luck be a little bit more important for FTK2. One of the encounters, the Dark Carnival, allows you to use luck. Now, it is helpful to have a high amount of luck to be able to use the Dark Carnival, but there's a simple way you could do this, is I will hold on to certain items, gives me 15 luck, and a 10% gold multiplier. So this is actually something I've talked about in the other videos as well too. This is actually min-maxing the game. It's just holding on to certain equipment that actually boosts your stats for all sorts of different things, and luck's not the only one. In fact, Sir Imperial Mike talks a lot about this, and this is something that he utilizes probably more than anyone else, that type of tactic. So you could just use that type of mentality for a lot of different things. So 5 vitality points to increase 1 HP. So think about that. The amount of additional vitality you need to put to have it have a major impact is kind of negligible at the lower levels. So if you're putting that much stats into your vitality to gain 1 HP, you're better off just having. So in hindsight, listen to these videos, I should have just said vitality is kind of garbage. The stats kind of back that up. If you really want me to break this thing down, I can, but I'm not going to waste your time. Just if vitality doesn't matter, and you can move on. I'm going to save so much time on this video. Now let's go into the next stat, which is speed. Speed allows you to do pretty much, in essence, 3 This is going to be my biggest correction. 1 is being able to move around the map. 2, it allows you to like ambush or leave a fight. And then the third, how many turns you get within a battle. Now, the first one, moving around the map, isn't really that important, because if you go back to my 5 tips to stay alive, you don't really want any of your heroes venturing off too far, because once you go too far, it makes it too hard to play as a team. You end up having a larger opportunity to die. So then, speed is not worth it. being able to ambush and leave a fight, I don't find that to be all that important. The only time to really consider it is if you have a really low amount of speed and your hero is constantly not able to fight because everyone else fights in front of him and will even skip turns because it's so low. This usually does not occur unless you're looking at your strength hero. He's right now at 55, which isn't terrible. But the problem is with the strength hero, in order to increase strength, there are boots that lowers his speed. This is why you talk about the 90 threshold. Since I'm at around 92, I don't think I really need to be that high. I'd be willing to swap out boots to give him to where he's not taxed on speed. You do this every once in a while, I would not sacrifice main stats too often for speed. It's just not worth it. So then on to the last stat. Okay, so this is the massive correction for this video. Speed is the most important stat. Not only that, speed actually does impact evasion as well too. But it had everything to do with, like, part 3 of that discussion was not hammered home well. Speed is the meta part of the game and is the most crucial thing, and 55 speed is complete garbage. Now, your strength heroes, I'll get into the one strength hero that's kind of broken in OP, but for the most part are going to be slower, and there's not a lot you can do about that. But with that being said, speed, you want to maximize speed. Getting yourself on the timeline so you can hit first over everyone else is incredibly important, and is, again, should be in the top tier of the stats. That's the one thing that should be flipped here. Evasion, it should actually be in this middle tier, not in the upper tier that's coming up here. Evasion. This stat is by far the best luxury stat in the game. Even the game categorizes evasion as a form of defense. The most important thing is staying alive in this game, because losing one of your lives is so detrimental, and you get so very few of them, and it's hard to gain them, that avoiding getting hit altogether is by far the most important thing that you can do. Hence why I would strongly consider increasing your evasion at the sacrifice of armor, resistance, or even your offensive stat. So again, right there is the big correction. So, like, evasion is nice. You want to be super fast, hit as much as possible, get out of fights as quickly as possible. That's what actually keeps you alive. That's mainly the big correction on that entire video, which has to do with speed being more important. And that's the big takeaway there.